Hello and welcome back to IPControl Setup Video 14, where I am today going to go ahead and cover the cloud credentials and setting up the cloud management of the zones, which we provide in IPControl 16. So effectively what we provided under the tools, you'll have now cloud credentials under the appliances column or administrators. The cloud credentials, when you go to assign these, I won't necessarily show you mine, but you'll have the cloud vendor, which you can choose Amazon, and these are the specific fields you'll need, specifically down to the region, secret key, access, and account. And we can import as many of these cloud credentials in bulk, either through API or CLI. Now, one thing to note here too is when you add these cloud credentials, very important that you select your administrators. Whichever administrator should have access to these DNS credentials. Otherwise, if you're logged in as that credential, you won't see those zones and so on. And after you have applied your credential, you'll go to Management DNS Servers, and you're going to add a Cloud DNS Server. And this Cloud DNS Server is then going to expect that you select your provider, and you're going to have your account ID, which that's mine, but ties into your account ID, which is set up and aligns in with your cloud credential. So you kind of have those pieces work together. And once you have defined that and it syncs those, we don't actually manage the zone. So when we go out and click on the zones link, we're going to get a list of all of the zones that are currently on that server, either public or private. So these could be public Route 53 or they could be private in that space on a VPC. And we're using the software development kit to synchronize data views. Unlike where we manage the zone at the zone level in the resource record and the server delegation, we're now doing this in the cloud and leaving it in the cloud, but just managing the zone and the records. So effectively then I can go in and when I do this, do like a public, and I had, just tested one here a minute ago, and I'm just going to create a real quick zone, and that then deploys my zone publicly. So if this were publicly routing or anything else, I would see that there. And here then I need to do my name to find it, and I'll tell it public, and I'll do the filter, and because you may have thousands, and then you'll have here your zone, and then you'll have resource records. And I could go out and now say, here's a resource record, and I'm going to say Dave's test. Let's give this 60 seconds. And actually, let's just do the one here. We'll do 10.10.1.1. It doesn't have a valid private IP address, so I can't use that address in there because it seems to be illegal in this context. So I would probably need to do a few other things there in order to understand the record types. But assuming that I could then add to the zones, I should be able to manage those records. So I want to check one thing while we're here. Let's see what some of these other records look like, or zones. These were added all up in the list there publicly. Yeah, okay, so these are just the SOA. So we would then have some type of network that, of course, needs to be applied at the public space, which I don't have any VPCs applied here. So that's one thing. I don't have any space. I can do the zone. Now, the second is if I were to do, say, a private, you're going to be presented with an add VPC where you can then pick and choose your regions. And these look like to be all of the global regions. And I would select, like US East 1, if I were doing it here, a test unit or something else, I could then add to the VPC, add the zone, and then I could manage the resource records accordingly. So the A record and others and interfaces within match to that. So I don't have that VPC there, but we can certainly, let's try one here. I want to see what happens just to see. Let's go to US East 2. Actually, let's do US East 1. And let's go to, let's call this DC test 1. Okay, and let's do private here then. And I still don't know that I have any address space in that. I'm just kind of guessing around here. And let's see if it does allow. 60. Let's try this again. And again, I don't know that this VPC has data there that this is valid. Okay, yeah. So it looks like it allowed us to do that. So on the private side, allowed me to do the private IP, but we would probably have to do something further to investigate the public addresses and so on. This then shows the VPCs that this is allocated to, and I guess you could assign this to others to make it available to other users. So that is effectively the AWS. Now, I don't have any Azure accounts or views, but using that same concept, go in and define your credentials, set up your different users, set up your different accounts and secret IDs and keys, and that then will give you the access you need to hopefully see and view. And then you can have that particular permission set up in the cloud to control how you're going to manage those zones, kind of moving forward there. So thank you for joining me, and I'm going to let this spin here for a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and end the video here. And I wanted to follow up with this because I had tried, I think, to do this previously, but I somehow had not been able to get access to it, and I was able to demonstrate it. So here, even cleaning it up, we're then able to clean up the zones, add, delete, and it would then remove them from there. So again, thanks again for joining me, and we'll follow up probably another couple of videos here. I think there might be a few things to cover still in more detail as we go through the automation and maybe some of the other tools that we're working into. So maybe we'll pop another setup video in at that point. Take care.